Greetings and salutations. This is the Holy Spackle, and today I have a special guest, Lucifer, and we are just going to get to know Lucifer here in the community. I don't know if everybody knows him, but I've heard Lucifer's been around for a very long time. How are you doing today, Lucifer?
I'm doing quite good. I had a mostly fun day.
A mostly fun day. What was your day looking like today?
A few lectures on people misbehaving and then some music.
Lectures on people misbehaving. What do you mean by that?
Sometimes people just need corrected. Otherwise, they destroy themselves and other people.
Now, do you care if people destroy themselves or not?
It depends on the person. There isn't a particular side I'm betting for exactly.
So, Lucifer, I usually start with this question here. How did you end up in the great debate community on G Plus and also on YouTube?
What I was sent to deal with Nadia. And I think I overdid it actually a little bit.
Sent to deal with Nadia?
Yeah, she was always talking about, not being afraid to die and wanting to die and everything, and I've kind of made her more afraid to die, I guess. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but that's what I did.
I think Nadia needs to talk to you again. Just saying.
Nah, she wouldn't listen to me right now.
Gotcha. So, there's this story that largely is from the Bible about a fall. And not just the fall of humanity, but actually that you got your ass kicked out of heaven by the Archangel Michael. Is there some truth to that?
Oh, no. There is,
no.
There's no truth to that.
So, the story goes that Lucifer is an archangel and the beautifulest one, and is also a musician, and leads a rebellion against God and takes a third of the angels with him. So tell me about that. Is that at all true, or from your perspective, how did these things go?
Oh no, that would be a futile exercise. In heaven, I think if you had a bigger perspective, you would see how that story doesn't really play out. What you would call heaven, that have a different word for it, but you're in it right now. Space isn't it? We're in it. We're made from it. It's sort of the only thing that there is, and it's really just a matter of perspective. It's impossible to be thrown out of.
So heaven is neither here nor there. What about hell? What is hell?
Well, if your description of hell is that place where God isn't, that is also impossible. The only people that really metaphorically burn are people that don't like the one that is.
Do you believe that God exists?
I know God exists.
Do you see yourself as an adversary to God?
Nah, only when he would want me to be.
Are you an adversary to humanity?
Only when they need me to be.
So there's a story. It's one of the oldest books of the Bible. It's Job. And it appears at first glance the devil makes a deal with God and says, "Oh, Job's only righteous because you bless him. And if I took all those blessings away, he wouldn't be righteous anymore. He wouldn't love you." Is that just like a myth, or did that really happen?
No, that really happened, but that wasn't between me and God. That was between me and Michael.
You and Michael. Tell me about Michael.
He's a very brooding, I think the common phrase nowadays is war hawkish type of person. He spends most of his time... How do I... Keep in mind when I use certain words, they're not literally doing this, but I'm trying to convey a meaning of what it seems like. He spends most of his time marching around God's feet, trying to figure out what God is thinking.
Doesn't he do the will of God? Isn't he kind of a patsy for God, so to speak? Like he's somebody that, soldier for God?
Well, that's what we're all made for. Like us being me and my brothers, but that doesn't mean we're not curious.
Have you exercised your free will other than what God would like you to do?
What I'm made to do is exactly what God wants to do. I don't even need to ask him.
What are you made to do?
I am made to essentially test people and curb their pride.
There's a saying that you are prideful and vain. Do you consider yourself prideful and vain?
I kind of have to be. I am a little bit. You really have to know what it is you're dealing with.
Your picture looks pretty. I mean, I've seen a lot of depictions of Lucifer, and sometimes Lucifer is pretty attractive looking. Other times Lucifer's monstrous looking. It makes the portrait of Dorian Gray look pretty good looking. So, are you a good looking guy?
Depends. I prefer if I get to ask, right? If it's not just given to me, I prefer to be a little, maybe not unattractive, but mild. I don't want to be noticeable necessarily.
So you have been making a lot of music, or at least it appears you've been making music on your channel. Or is the music that you display on your channel your own music?
Yes, all with one exception was a collaboration.
Which one was the collaboration?
It is the fourth one, and I don't even remember what I called it. Let's see here.
The fourth one. Okay. So for those viewers that you don't know, Lucifer actually has his own channel, and on his channel there's music, as you would expect that Lucifer would be a musician. So of course, Tanya Galaxy is asking a question. She says, "And how big is your penis?" I guess that matters.
I don't normally have one, so that question isn't really important.
I have so many questions now. You don't normally have one, so are you like a Ken doll?
Yeah, like flat, smooth, sure, yes.
There you go. Do you have wings?
No, not usually. No. That wings are pretty. They're not useful on a human shape.
Are you able to possess people?
No, not on my own anyway.
Not on your own. So in the fall story, there's this story of a serpent tempting Eve. And some people think that maybe it was animal possession, that Satan actually possessed the body of a serpent. And other people just think it's an allegory for you. What do you make of that?
I think I've spoken to this for a few people, and I think the best way to describe what I would be in that story, and that is the apple.
You are the apple. You are temptation itself.
Yes. Knowledge. I mean, it's a bunch of things. They all kind of play off each other.
So knowledge between good and evil. From the audience again, Tanya says, "What are your thoughts on people who claim and ask to be possessed?"
That they're wasting their time.
Do you think it's some sort of psychological frenzy?
Probably. I've never really spent much time with those people. They're not going to get much use out of them.
some people, there's different kinds of Satanists, but there are literally some Satanists that do invoke your name and do worship you. What do you make of those people?
They're misguided. I mean, I can't really do anything for them that isn't already planned. So
Anything that you do basically is under God's hand.
well, yeah, but it's not like the phrasing it that way makes it seem like he's like a puppet master, right? I was made from the beginning to do exactly like he wanted to be done. I don't have to, it's not like I have to circumvent my own will to do what he wants.
Do you think you're in a position to where you will win against God, or do you think you work in tandem with God?
Well, if I had to pick one, I would say tandem. But I'm more of I'm more like one of his hands than I am the separate thing.
Tanya Galaxy asks, are the end times close? And if they are close, how close?
Well, close, that also matter of perspective. In a cosmic time scale, yeah, sure, pretty close. I don't think people really want to know, and also it's not important to anyone that's currently alive, so don't worry about it.
Helena Handbasket asks, does God need you? And if not, what is your function?
Oh, well, my function is to test people. That's my primary function. I would say that God needs me because I am still here. It's not like he would retire me or something. I go poof.
Are you able to read people's minds?
Oh, I wish. No, not really.
Do you work with other fallen angels?
I mean, well, I mean, there aren't fallen angels, but I work with other angels sometimes.
Sometimes. Do they also test people?
No. Some of them are just ravenous, like Abaddon.
Catholics believe in guardian angels. What do you think about that?
They don't exist. I mean, we all care for you, if that counts. But personally, no, there isn't personal angels.
Tanya's asking, what is the most effective test that people fail at?
Pride. They almost always fail. It doesn't really matter what the test is. It's just pride constantly. They always think their perspective is the correct perspective.
Do you have a hand in war? Have you ever influenced people to go to war?
Do you mean on the big scale, or do you mean like individually, like soldiers or emperors?
Both.
Emperors, no. Sometimes there are people that just need to go get shot, though.
There are people that need to go get shot. Oh my gosh. Oh, right. Is that part of your temptation, or is this something different? Is this retribution?
It's more like I am a doer of small things with big outcomes. If I need something to happen a certain way in the future, I would change something small in the past. A ward is a very clumsy thing, and that's not really what I do.
In the book of Revelation, it describes the lake of fire. Is the lake of fire an analogy? Is it a real place? If it's a real place, what is it like? If it's a metaphor, what is it a metaphor for?
Well, it's a metaphor for me and everyone that goes through me. Everyone that dies, I don't. The proper word, the closest word, might be purification, but it's never eternal. That's the eternal
Like a
thing.
refining fire.
Yes, like being forged.
Helena Handbasket asks, does God answer prayers? And if so, how?
He doesn't answer prayers. Not like directly. Like you ask for candy bar, he brings you candy bar. That's not going to happen.
What
There it is. He's more worried about the big picture.
What if you asked to align your will with God? Would God answer that?
Oh, your will is already aligned with God.
Lucifer, are you a Calvinist?
The Calvinist, as in you're talking about free will?
Yeah, is everything predetermined?
Well, everything's predetermined by the creation. But that doesn't mean you don't have free will.
So predetermined broad scale, but maybe we have choices in between?
No. Your choices are known. But you're still the one making the choices.
Do you favor certain countries over others? Says reason.
I like Brazil for its beaches. Well, the people on the beaches.
Yeah, the people have great skin in Brazil. I would say that, definitely. That's pretty good. Let's see. Helena's asking, why are people so cruel to one another?
That's a much bigger question than I think she realizes. There's a lot of reasons. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. I would say most of it comes from not being able to put yourself into other people's situations. So lack of empathy, I think, would be the biggest problem.
Is pride involved in that?
Well, yeah, you'd be proud and you would think that you were right. Like when one culture meets another culture, of course your culture is right and their culture is wrong.
Tanya's very fixated on hell. She says, describe hell as Hades in the lake of fire and the differences, please. And also don't forget that Jesus actually uses the word Gehenna. And Gehenna was a place outside the city of Jerusalem, and the King James just took it upon itself to just say hell. So what are the differences between Gehenna, hell, Hades, the lake of fire, and do you believe in a purgatory?
No, I mean, the closest thing to purgatory is where you are right now. But I mean, as this other place that's like in between heaven and here and hell, it's that no, that's not real. Gehenna was a fire pit, and the word literally means fire pit for burning garbage and stuff. And that's, like I said before, hell is a metaphor for me. You get forged, the garbage of you, the garbage in you that's of you and that makes up part of you, it gets burned away.
What about it when it says, when Jesus references Gehenna, it talks about the fire, the unquenchable fire and the worm that does not die. What is that referring to?
Knowledge. That's how you get purified. Knowledge is vast and infinite. These sort of if there is a punishment, it's because you punish yourself.
C.S. Lewis says that if you end up in hell, hell is a place that's locked from the inside. What do you think about that?
Not very much about that. I don't really. It's locked from the inside. I'm not quite sure what he's trying to say.
I think he's talking about maybe it's a conscious torment, something that you have decided and made for yourself. But I don't know.
No. If that's what he's trying to say, then yes, that kind of fits what I just said. If there is a punishment, it's of your own doing. I'm not talking about misbehaving. I mean, you will literally punish yourself.
Reason asks, how do you communicate with God?
Well, it's more like he communicates with me, but I ask him questions. If I need questions asked. And sometimes he answers my questions before I ask them.
Do you ever take other forms other than your angelic form?
Not voluntarily, or of my own volition. They're either I always have to ask for them, or they're given to me.
Who gives them to you?
Oh God.
How do you speak to God?
Well, it's much like speech, but more like thought. I wouldn't say there's a verbal structure, really. It's more like speaking through intent.
I've got a question for you. When Christ was out in the desert after 40 days, and you tempt him to, like the story goes, you tempt him to, turn the stones into bread, and you show him, kingdoms, and all this will be yours if you bow to me, or why don't you throw yourself off a cliff? And it says in scripture that, the angel won't let you, hit the ground. Did you really think that you could really tempt Christ?
No, but there's a small caveat there that I think people need to know. Christ isn't God any more than I am, or Michael is, or you are. Christ was Ariel.
Christ was who?
Ariel?
Ariel? Like the Little Mermaid?
Ariel. I think you spell it with a U in the front.
So is Christ... What is Christ?
The angel.
He's an angel?
Yeah, he's
Is he the first created being?
no, he's not even close to the first.
Do you get pleasure from watching people suffer?
Only the deserving.
What do you have to do to deserve suffering?
Cause suffering, usually.
Do you believe in an eye for an eye?
I mean, I don't practice an eye for an eye, but I can see the appeal in it.
Lucifer, are you a Mormon?
No, I'm not a Mormon.
Are you a Mason?
No, I'm not a Mason. Are you asking those questions, or is someone on the outside asking those questions?
Well, the Mormon came from Tanya, and then I thought I'd throw in Mason. Let's see. Reason's asking, what's up with the bet between you and God when it came to Job? Actually, we just asked that earlier. Why would you bet against and everything disappeared? Well, why would you bet against? Hang on. Oh my gosh. Something happened to chat. Why would you bet against you and God when it came to Job? Why would you bet against... Okay, why would you bet against God is what he's saying. But I think you answered that already. But go ahead and re-answer that one. Like, what was going on with you and Job? I gotta let my dog out.
Oh, I was just trying to... Michael doesn't spend any time here. And he was given a few directives that I'm not really at liberty to talk about, but he needed to know how humans work.
There you go.
And it sounds terrible, like what happened to Job, but in those days on Earth, women, wives, children were property. I'm not saying I agree with that. I really don't care one way or the other. But
do you think God ordained that, or do you think that was the condition of man's hardened heart?
well, I think God commissioned their hardened heart also. So both.
Both. Okay. So where do you currently reside?
No, currently, I'm in Brazil.
Currently you're in Brazil. I should have known. What do you look like? Do you look like your picture, or do you look a little different?
Currently, I'm redheaded.
You're redheaded. What's your eyes look like?
Well, I don't think I've ever really looked in the mirror since I've been here this last time. I don't know.
When you say you've been here, where do you go when you're not here?
I go back to the medium.
What's the medium?
It's what you'd call heaven. It's just, I figured medium, kind of a play on the words, and it seemed more appropriate.
So why is this Christian lore of you getting thrown out of heaven by Michael if that didn't really happen?
Because most of the things I do to people aren't things that they like. So it's really easy to see me as the bad guy.
Jello's just pointing out that he knew that you'd be a ginger because gingers are soulless.
I didn't ask for it, but now that you say that, yes, that's kind of funny.
What's your favorite kind of music, since you were quite the musician?
Well, people call it sad. It's the type of music I make, but I would say probably sort of something that has emotional depth. It doesn't have to be sad, but that's usually what I make.
Are you kind of emo, Lucifer?
Oh, all the time. If you mean emotional.
Who's your favorite musician?
Of all time?
Yeah.
I don't think I could pronounce his name with a tongue.
Who's your favorite human musician?
Elvis.
Elvis. Is it the pelvis?
Yes, that's part of it. It was his sort of rebel attitude.
Did you tempt him when he was on the toilet?
Tempted with what? Like another donut? No, that was all that was. And he didn't die on the toilet.
Reason is asking, is there a literal antichrist that will bring about one world government?
I mean, one world government will happen, but I don't know if I would say that it was caused by one person.
What is the mark of the beast?
Something made up by a man who is high on mushrooms.
So you're of the camp that John, when he wrote Revelation, was in a cave that was affected by mushrooms or some sort of mold and was hallucinating?
It was very deliberate. He was consuming them.
He's consuming the mushrooms.
Oh, I mean, he got the mushrooms and stuff not in the cave, but that paints a good picture of what was going on.
I see. So he's having a psychedelic experience, huh? Was there any truth to Revelation then?
I mean, you could probably read some truth into it, but nothing inherent.
So Lucifer, are you immortal?
For all intensive purposes, yes.
Are human beings immortal in the sense that we are eternal?
Yes. But the thing you're made of is immortal. Individuality kind of floats away a little bit, but what is you? It's still there.
Wolf King is asking, does power derive from knowledge of self?
It's something that you would call personal power does. Your willpower, drive, motivation. You get that from knowing your limits, knowing what you like and what you don't like, and the people you love and whatnot.
Reason's asking, is God pro-drug or anti-drug?
He's pro-drug for the people that like drugs, anti-drug for the people that don't.
What is there something to be learned from addiction?
Yes, but that lesson isn't learned yet by most people. People haven't really realized that addiction is just an urge, and it's not. I don't think it's not. It's not what people would call themselves. Like if you sat down and thought, "Well, where am I in my body? What am I?" Your consciousness. It's largely because of your frontal lobe. You would have it without the frontal lobe. You'd be much more simple. And the chemical urge of addiction is more like a suggestion. It doesn't make you do anything.
You talk about tempting us. Do you ever attack us?
Well, I've never attacked enough people that I would say all of you, but yeah, sure.
Some people. You attack some people.
Yes.
Do you need to get God's permission before you attempt or attack?
No, I don't.
Do you have free will?
As much as you do.
The same amount as I do. Okay. It seems like the Bible paints it as angels have sort of a different kind of free will than we do. Like they can make their choice, yay or nay, follow God or not. In the Bible, at least.
Oh yeah, well the Bible's looking over the fact. Well, they probably didn't know the fact, but it's looking over the fact that what we want is what God wants. We're not made to do things that He doesn't want us to do.
So our free will then just is for the small choices that we make?
No, big and small. You make all the choices. It's sort of like, imagine if you were in a void and you made a person, right? And you made that person knowing exactly where every last little subatomic particle, flow of energy, magnetic field, how everything would affect that person. You would know every single choice that person made from the point that you made them to the point that they died. And then you would work that into what you wanted. You don't have to circumvent their will. You just know the choices they're making.
Does God have will of his own?
Well, really, he's the only will. We just use his will. But yes, God has free will.
The Bible often talks about Lucifer as being, or Satan, or many names, as being the adversary. What do you make of that?
Well, I am an adversary, just not to God. That's
To human beings?
human being. I mean, not just human beings, but sentient life that has the capability of making choices that are lasting longer than their.
Do you target the meek and the faithful, or do you target who do you target most often?
Well, I target the prideful most often. That is actually more often than not the faithful.
Who are more, in your experience, who are the most prideful on earth?
The most prideful? The Greeks. I'd go with the Greeks.
The Greeks. Why the Greeks?
They have a really long tradition. Like and most of Western civilization, traces their political roots and sociological roots through the Greek.
Do you endorse a political candidate in America?
If I got to pick one, or do you mean if I pick one that's already running?
Yeah, if you had to pick one that's already running, which political candidate would you pick in America right now?
That's a tough one. On one hand, if I pick Donald Trump, a lot of people that need to get blown up will get blown up, but then so will a lot of people that don't need to get blown up. I'm going to have to go with Bernie Sanders because he's the least likely to blow anyone up.
Bernie Sanders, because he won't blow up the people that don't need to be blown up?
Yeah, I can take care of the people that need to be blown up.
So Reason's asking, how do we have free will if our only choices are to follow what God says or be punished forever?
Well, you're not going to be punished. Well, that's the first lesson you should take. And not unless you want to punish yourself, which, sometimes a good self-punishing is needed.
So would you describe yourself as what some would call a universalist of sorts?
If I was a person, I've had people on here call me universalist before, but if you were to like plot everything out, I would say I was probably universalist adjacent.
Is there a way to avoid less refining fire and maybe go to a place of peace in our afterlife, or do we all have to walk through that?
No, you all walk through the fire, but some people have more garbage than others.
When Christianity talks about being saved, do you believe that there's a way to get saved from something?
Well, I mean, you can get saved from a long stay, right?
A long stay through the refining fire?
The difference is, are you spending the weekend there or are you moving there for a while?
Fun fact, actually, if you guys remember McKay, he used to frequent Nadia's room. And McKay and I had a debate about, and it's on one of my playlists, about annihilationism versus universalism versus hell. And the person I was advocating for the eternal conscious torment position was Amy Farmer. And I was annihilationism, and McKay was universalism. Anyway, McKay's style of universalism actually is an argument that we will all go through a refining fire. And so that exists. That is a thing.
Oh yeah, I don't need eternity. I can make you regret everything you've ever done in just a few seconds. Eternity would just be overkill.
Do you think that we deserve to go through the refining fire for stealing a cookie? Or does it have to be something substantial like murder?
No, the stealing the cookie would... Man, it's impossible. I mean, everyone will go there. I mean, the shortest people that go through there stay the shortest amount of time are babies. But I mean, I don't think anyone has punished themselves for stealing a cookie after they've died, so I don't think you have to worry about it.
Are you able to perform any music for us?
Currently, no.
He left his lyre at home.
Harp. Little harp.
Little harp. Tiny little harp. So, what do you make of preachers like Joel Osteen? Are they leading people the right way? Or are they leading people astray?
Well, it's really hard to say there's a right way, but I would say that they do generally do more harm than good. But that's kind of because they try to throw a big net. If they were more selective, it would be an entirely different situation.
Have you ever had a conversation with G-Man?
Yes. A very short one.
How did that go?
He read a couple verses from the Bible and tried to banish me from his hangout through magic.
Through magic?
Well, yeah, like he was trying to perform an exorcism.
Wow. Do exorcisms work?
No.
Do angels ever possess human beings?
Yes. Just we don't we can't do it on our own. I mean, you would have more luck with negotiation than you would saying magic words.
For those that are possessed, do they have to be willing to be possessed?
No. That is actually probably maybe unfortunate for them, the least worrisome thing. I said that wrong. The least thing that we take into account when deciding to do something like that.
Gretchen is asking, can animals see you?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, everything that has eyes could see me.
And Reason's asking, is there a right denomination of Christianity, or are all denominations of Christianity wrong?
Both. I mean, they all get little things right. It's when they start trying to prescribe things to God, right? You know, God saying something like God is like this, or God wants that, or this other thing. That's when they kind of go astray.
Are you privy to the knowledge of who gets saved and who doesn't get saved?
You mean who gets to walk with Ariel through my fire?
So is there nobody saved through the fire?
No, everyone goes to the fire. As far as Ariel being there with you, he does that with a few people. And that's more of having like a counselor than it is being saved.
Did Jesus actually die for your sins?
Nah, he died because of your sins.
Because of our sins, but not for them?
I mean, for them is one way of saying because of them. People have taken the positive interpretation of that phrase.
Well, later, Paul talks about how Christ is an advocate for us, and you are actually the adversary. What do you make of that?
Did you say for people's sin? Is that what you said?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that is my job.
And is Christ the advocate?
Kinda. He's more like a comforter. In more ways than one. Yeah, he comforts you and is sort of a blanket. There isn't really a justice system. He's not like a lawyer.
Do you care about justice?
Yes and no. I mean, the short answer, yes. I don't necessarily call justice the same thing you would call justice.
Do you consider yourself an ally to most human beings, or do you consider yourself at war with us?
Ally, even the ones I deal with on a more personal basis. I am not really there to hurt you. I am more there to fix you.
You think that people are fixed through pain and suffering?
It's one way. That's my preferred method.
Why does God allow so much pain and suffering to create a heaven with no evil in it? Asked Tanya.
Well, I mean, there isn't evil. This idea of good and evil is sort of a human idea.
So what is there? If there's no good and evil, then we can't call something truly evil, like, I don't know, the Holocaust. Oh yeah, Godwin's Law, just did it. If we can't call an action evil, and if it's not good, then what is it?
Well, I didn't say you couldn't, but I mean, I have a different perspective. I can't even say the word. Perspective? Yes, something like
Perspective.
That. Perspective. This good and evil thing, it's more just actions. Because let's say, for example, let's say this isn't going to happen. But let's say in order for Christ to come back, right, the second time, that's what all Christians look forward to. The Holocaust needed to happen in order for him to be born. Then now is the Holocaust a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, how many people suffering needs to be used for something to come about?
Well, the whole Holocaust. There are millions of Jews and Christians, and atheists, and a bunch of other people. But is the Holocaust now a good thing and not an evil thing because it made Jesus?
The Holocaust made Jesus?
Well, yeah, it was a necessary step. This is hypothetical.
Are we talking about the Herod Holocaust? Are we talking about the Holocaust that happened in Germany?
Yeah, the Germany one.
Okay, I don't understand then. I guess I'm missing what you're saying.
Well, it's a hypothetical, right? If if you needed the German Holocaust to happen, the Jewish Holocaust, in order for Christ to come back and be born where he needed to be born at, then does that make the Holocaust, which most people would call evil, is that now a good thing because it deliberately led to Christ? And that's sort of how we look at it. It's I know a lot of humans say, the means don't justify the ends, but the ends is the only thing that matters.
What do you make of evolution?
I think it's ingenious.
Is it guided by God, or is it like clockwork and it goes on its own?
Well, both. I mean, it depends on like what level of guiding do you mean. I mean, like every action that happens in the universe has some sort of small impact on how evolution works out. So God guides every moment of it in one way, and then it's also sort of a clockwork function.
Happy Jesus asks, can't evolution fix stupid?
Yes, it can fix stupid. I mean, we're talking about fixing stupid many generations in the future, but it can. No, but the world would be boring without stupid people. You don't want a world without stupid people.
What's your favorite author or book?
Like a more modern book, I would have to go with Starship Troopers.
Oh, Star Trek Troopers. I have not read that, but I heard the book is way different and way better than the movie.
I've never seen the movie, but it is a really good book.
The movie is pretty much bugs in space, and that's it.
And it's not even actually that far off.
What, Star Trek Troopers isn't that far off from the truth, or what do you mean?
Oh, and like what will happen? Sometimes when there's so much limited information.
There have been some people that have speculated, and I'm just saying speculated, and I listen to various speculations of what may or may not have happened in the past and may or may not happen in the future. And there has been some people that are into theology that speculate, and it's totally in the realm of speculation, that perhaps in spiritual wars, planets have been destroyed and life has been destroyed on planets, perhaps even in our solar system. And there's other people that speculate that God has created living beings somewhere else in the universe, that maybe our lives don't intersect, but they're living beings somewhere else in the universe. And these are all speculations. What do you make of those kind of speculations about alien life?
Well, they're just as often wrong as they are right. I mean, the universe is just filled with life everywhere. Intelligent life, or maybe what you people would call intelligent life, is much more rare. But it's out there.
Gretchen is asking, did the Archangel Michael, is he still hogging your video games?
Oh no, that was Gabriel. Gabriel loves your media.
Gabriel. Tell us a little bit about Mary. Catholics really love Mary, and Orthodox will honor Mary as, I believe, the first proto-Christian, but they don't necessarily call her co-redeemer like the Catholics do. What do you make of Mary? Is she an important person in history?
I mean, I don't know if I would call her like a pivotal figure, but I wouldn't say she's not important. She's also probably one of the dirtiest minded women I've ever talked to.
Dirtiest minded women? How so?
Just very kinky. I don't think the Catholics want me to sit here and talk about the kinkiness of Mary.
Yeah, considering I have a few Catholic viewers that often. Yeah, we'll just keep moving on there. So, Lusty McButt asks, what are your favorite snacks?
Well, currently I would go. It's a toss-up between Reese's Pieces and tuna ice cream.
Tuna ice cream sounds disgusting. Are you
It's
pregnant?
amazing. No, it's okay. I know everyone gets the idea that it's like vanilla ice cream with like tuna chunks in it, but it's just a cream flavored with tuna. It's only half as gross as people think it is. I love it.
Is there like any runner-up ice cream other than that you like?
Mm, octopus was too salty. I'm going to say mint would be my second.
I am a huge fan of mint and chip. If you want to make me happy, mint and chip's the way, or one of the ways.
You like something the devil likes.
I like something the devil likes. I'm in trouble now.
I know this community. You're going to be a not Christian here pretty soon.
Oh, really? Why is that?
I'm assuming at some point G-Man's going to hear about this and he's going to declare that you're not the real Christian.
No, I think he's got a big question mark on me right now. It's okay. I'm a little Catholic friendly, and that kind of upsets him, amongst other things.
Oh, how dare you be friendly?
But, you know, G-Man's not the Pope, and I don't think he gets to declare who's in and who's out, and I don't think he can pluck people out of God's hands, so I'm not really concerned. I wish him well, and I'll try to let him do his thing, and I do mine, and when I go in his live chat, I make sure not to troll him. But, you know, I did make a video because, well, he made it an attack on C.S. Lewis, and I was very upset because I love C.S. Lewis. What can I say?
Oh, no, I can say this right now. G-Man, if you happen to catch this or someone tells you about it, I'm sure someone will tell you about it. 2019, January 1st, I'll see you then, man.
Oh, dear. Do I want to know?
Do you? It's not something I can tell you, but you're not going to know if you wanted to know until after I say it.
2019, G-Man. Lucifer's coming to see you. I don't know what that means.
Oh, no, he's coming to see me.
Oh, that's even worse.
It's okay. I'll give him hugs and he'll have a little cry and everything will be fine.
Reason's asking, is evolution a liberal lie to convert people from Christianity?
Does she say liberal lie or literal lie?
Liberal.
Liberal lie. No, there's plenty of not liberal people that also believe in evolution. It's there's so many things wrong with that statement that it's not a lie. And I don't know why you would question how God made the universe. That just seems weird to me. I never got it.
Probably because we're now just figuring this stuff out, and because we didn't know from the beginning of time. I think it freaks people out.
Yeah, I mean, the people just don't realize exactly how magnificent the idea is.
Tanya's asking, is God mad at me for deconverting?
I'm going to go with no. I mean, I could... Does she want me to ask him right now? He says no.
Now, if you deconvert, do you spend more time in the refining fire?
Not necessarily. I mean, it would all depend on the reason why you deconverted. I mean, if you deconverted because you wanted to light yourself on fire, because you had the fetish for lighting yourself on fire, and then did a bunch of drugs, and then made everyone around you hate you, and that's pretty anti-Christian. And if that's the reason why you deconverted, then yes.
Do you know when people are going to die?
There are a few people I remember. Most of this has already happened, from my point of view.
just to answer Happy Jesus, who's directing this to me, if I love C.S. Lewis, is he your god or is ice cream your god? Neither. Next.
Was that the real question?
I don't know.
Does he like you? Is he teasing you?
Happy Jesus and I, we banter back and forth. We don't really have negative conversations. It's silly usually. He likes to have fun in live chats. So Tanya's asking, can you ask God questions for her? Or better yet, can you ask God questions for me? Can you ask questions for anybody?
Oh yeah, I can ask questions for anyone.
Why would God choose you to answer for him?
Well, I mean, if I ask a question, why would he not answer me? It's not
if
like
I ask a question, can he answer me?
Yes.
So I could skip you.
If you really wanted to.
Tanya, why don't you try skipping Lucifer?
I just don't think many people know how to listen.
Lucifer, you do know that by endorsing Bernie Sanders, you might have lost some potential Christian voters.
Yeah, but I don't see a lot of Christians in America voting for Bernie Sanders.
If they are, they're all in California and New York State.
And, you know, people like G-Man all know that those aren't real Christians anyway. They're not going to be deterred by me, I don't think.
Dyslexia Jones is trying to run a test. He wants you to tell him what he's wearing.
Why would I know what he's wearing? Is it sexy? I don't have magic powers.
So you're not omnipotent. You don't see all. You're kind of limited, right?
Well, yeah, I'm just, you know, I'm I'm Satan. I'm not magic.
So considering there's like billions of people on the planet, right? Like, how do you get around? Like, you gotta have like some crew with you, right?
Oh yeah, currently I have Abaddon and Castiel.
Who?
Abaddon and Castiel?
Abbott and Costello?
No.
I don't give a damn.
Abaddon and Castiel.
That is so close to Abbott and Costello.
Oh, that made me my accent. But yeah, I don't think anyone's ever pointed that out before. That's kind of funny. I'm getting a real disapproval face from Abaddon, though.
Tanya says, can we set up a meeting where you will ask him some questions for me?
You mean like on here? Sure. Why not?
Okay. So anybody wants to have like a, well, not anybody, I don't know. If you want to set up a date with Lucifer one-on-one off air and ask him questions, you message him. So you recently wrote a song called The Long Goodbye, and some people were really worried that you were going to be gone forever and that you weren't coming back. What's going on with that?
Well, I am eventually going to be gone forever.
What do you mean?
Well, forever. I won't be back while you people are still around.
Are you planning on leaving the G Plus YouTube community?
Yes, in about 4 days.
In 4 days? Forever?
Well, I mean, like I said, you people won't be around anymore. But for all intents and purposes, yes.
Recently I was kind of exploring YouTube, and just by crazy happenstance, I ran across you talking to a bunch of Christians, and I can't remember what channel it was on either. It was like live channels, and I found this hangout was live, and they were like, Satan, get out of here, and they were trying to cast you out. And then somebody else started speaking in tongues, and they're like, I want to buy a Honda, I want to buy a Honda. And all of a sudden you started speaking in tongues back. What was that?
Well, I was like actually trying to speak to them in what humans used to call the language of the birds, but there was too much noise happening for you to really make out what I was saying.
Yeah, they seemed to get really upset when they were speaking in tongues and you started doing it back to them. They threw you out.
Oh, they didn't throw me out.
Did you leave?
I left. Yes.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure I would have been thrown out though if I didn't leave.
So 4 days from now, what exactly is happening?
My body expires, and I go back to where I was, and then I come back the next time I need to come. And for me, it's only going to be a matter of a few minutes, but if I remember correctly, it's going to be quite a few years the next time I come back.
Gotcha. Are you going to continue making music and posting it?
On here?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, YouTube won't be around the next time I come back, but probably the equivalent.
Tanya wants to set up a date with you tomorrow around 3 p.m. Are you available? 3 p.m. what time? Eastern Standard Time? She's from the East Coast.
Eastern in America. Yeah, I'd be around then.
There you go. Message Lucifer, Tanya, if you want to have a one-on-one conversation. Happy Jesus asks, is Santa and Satan really related, or are they really good friends?
Oh, if Santa was real, I'd be so buddy with him. That'd be awesome. A man that spends his whole year helping make toys and giving them out to people. What's not to like about that?
Have you made it down to Australia yet?
Well, I've made it down to the land that people call Australia plenty of times. Just not currently.
Why are there so many deadly things in that country?
Because there was a mass die-off on the Earth about 14,000 years ago, give or take a couple centuries. And Australia was largely unaffected. They kept most of their reptiles.
Now, the Bible calls you the prince of lies and flies and the father of lies and all sorts of really kind of interesting things. So how do I know I'm getting a straight answer from you?
Well, you don't. I mean, I don't think there's a way I could prove it to you, really. At least not on here.
I mean, all the lore basically says that you're not trustworthy.
But that is sort of my own making. If you want to make a habit of telling people the truth, and you want to also be able to use that to your benefit, you make them think that you're always lying. Like, I was kicked out of a room recently for telling someone to pay attention to the fifth commandment. And I was kicked out of it was a Christian room. I was kicked out of it because it came from me. How dare I tell someone to follow the 10 commandments?
What's your favorite of the 10 commandments?
My favorite. I don't know if I would really have a favorite. Yeah, I don't really have a favorite. Some of them are useful, and a lot of them aren't.
In Exodus, it talks about the Pharaoh, and Pharaoh's heart gets hardened. But actually, everybody focuses on the verse where it says, God hardened Pharaoh's heart. But there's like several other times where Pharaoh's heart just gets hardened. Did you play a role in Pharaoh's heart getting hardened?
No. That that whole situation didn't really happen.
Is it a metaphor?
No, it's sort of it's just a different telling of a story that happened, a few thousand years later. The venue was changed from the Middle East to Egypt.
What story is it retelling?
Oh, the Exodus from Babylon.
I see.
They both have missing details, but they're supposed to be the same story.
Cherie's asking what's your favorite place on Earth, and I think you said Brazil, correct?
Yes, I would go with Brazil. Everyone stares at me because I'm all white.
Are you shiny at all? Do you glisten in the sun?
Well, yes, but that's because I'm very pale. I don't seem to tan at all.
Do you burn?
No.
Are you jealous of God?
Well, no. I mean, there's plenty to be jealous about, but no, I'm not jealous of him.
Can you please explain flat earthers to us? Like, what is that?
You want me to explain nonsense to you?
Yes, like, is this part of this temptation, or is this just people being stupid?
Oh, that's just general ignorance. I mean,
So
you can go
don't
back
even
to
have
when
to test ignorance; it just happens.
Well, yeah, I mean, someone that's ignorant. It's not like a complete across the board ignorance, right? It's someone that's smart enough to go look up other information, and look at things, right? But they don't have enough intelligence or education to discern between fact and fiction.
Would you like to go talk to the flat earthers?
Sure. I don't think they would appreciate me very much, but I don't see why
I
not.
recommend checking out Rose Patton.
I have spoken to Rose before.
Oh yeah, how did that go? How was
Went
our
awful.
Rose?
That it was amusing. Let's just say that.
Did she kick you?
Oh yes, she kicked me in about. Actually, I think she has the record of people that's kicked me. She's held out the longest.
That's good. Have you ever thought or considered going to meet Matt Slick?
No, Matt Slick isn't important.
How is yours and Beckel's relationship? Are you guys on speaking terms?
I'd say so. I seem to make him laugh whenever I talk. So I know it's not a reason. He's laughing because he thinks I'm making it all up, right? But at least I get that out of it. He seems to enjoy it.
Tanya Galaxy's asking you to cam up. Are you able to cam up for us? Or at least show us your foot. Show us your foot!
Can I show you my foot? No, I refuse to. Only people that I talk to a lot get to see me.
It was worth a try. You won't show us. What about on the atheist side? Do you ever talk to Aaron Raw or Matt Dillahunty?
No. They're not really important either.
I don't think they think you exist. Does that bother you?
Well, no, that just makes what I do easier.
It's funny, the movie The Usual Suspects has a quote in it, and it says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to trick people in believing that he didn't exist. What do you think of that?
Well, it's true. Like, the only way I could convince someone that I don't exist personally is to be there to talk to them. Right? I mean, that's a great trick for anyone. To walk in front of someone and trick them into thinking that you're not there.
What do you make of religion?
Double-edged sword.
What do you make of philosophy?
Mankind's best attempt to understand the everyday.
What do you make of science?
Mankind's best attempt to be a wizard.
Psychology?
Mankind's best attempt to be psychic.
Ooh. Sociology?
Not really sure, because it's kind of in between historian and psychology, so it's like a blending of those.
Do you think sex is used for temptation?
No, I've certainly used it for temptation, but
So when
it's
people
just
fall
a tool.
towards the temptation, what does that entail? Like, is it the act that's bad, or is it good, or is it?
It's the intent.
It's the intent. Okay. Does it cause damage to other human beings?
Only can, right? I mean, it all depends on what the intent is. There's a bunch of intent that would have negative side effects on a bunch of people, and there's intent that would have a bunch of good side effects on people. And it's just tempting is not so much like trying to throw people in the fire. It's more like trying to pull out the things that need to be worked on. To think of it like a surgery. Like, it's scary and it can be painful if you don't have painkillers, but it's entirely necessary.
So when people fail the test, do they learn something more than the people that pass the test?
No, I would say people that pass the test learn more. But you do learn from failing the test.
Have
But you
you
also then usually get me to test you again.
have you known people to become prideful after they pass a lot of tests?
Yes, it does happen. Human beings are very complicated in their interactions with others. It's not very common. Most of my tests involve dealing with pride. So my goal is to make people less prideful.
Do you care about people's deconversions or conversions out of faith?
On personal levels, yes. In a general scale, I don't really care one way or the other.
Do you use atheists or other religions to deconvert people?
Yes, and I also use Christianity to deconvert other people.
To what ends would that serve God or you?
Sometimes you just need to move people from one religion to another so they cause less damage. And sometimes you just need to show them that you can be wrong. And it's entirely okay to be wrong.
Renee Skeptic asks, how do you decide who needs to be tested, and why is that your right?
I don't really think it's not my right. But rights isn't rights are make believe. They're a magical idea that people have made up. The only thing that you can honestly say you have, I'm going to use the word right, and here right is that to which you can keep yourself. If you can't actually manage to keep it yourself, then you don't really have a right for it. In reality.
So how do you decide who needs to be tested and who doesn't?
If someone is around me or near me, or I get sent to them and they are prideful, they meet all the requirements for me to test them.
Are there other things you look for other than pride, like wrath or anything else like that?
Well, wrath can come from a lot of different places. Wrath, when it does come from pride, then yes. I have dealt with people that are just generally angry and need, sometimes they just need a hug. I'll fix that because that only takes a few seconds. That's no problem.
Are there people in this community that could use a hug right now?
Almost all of them. This so-called community is full of people that need hugs.
Do you judge who is prideful?
Do I judge what?
Do you judge who is prideful, or does that come from God?
Well, I mean, it's usually pretty obvious, but I do make a determination based on people's actions, if they're prideful or not.
I got a really heavy question. Are you ready?
I'm bracing.
Is suicide an act of pride?
It can be. It's not inherently. It's just suicide is just an action. I mean, your motivation is what would make it prideful or not. I would say more often than not, it's selfish.
Does Rand Campbell need a hug?
No, Rand Campbell's Actually, generally a pretty happy person.
Have you met Godless Kafir?
No.
You should.
Actually, why? Is he fun?
Yeah, maybe before the 4 days is up, you should head over to Nadia's and meet Godless Kafir. It'd be kind of interesting.
Is he like usually always over there, or just
It's a
a certain time
she.
of day?
It's
Oh,
she,
sorry.
and she's there quite a bit, a huge chunk of time. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a special
She's
effort.
extremely anti-Muslim.
Oh, one of those people.
Oh yeah. Are you jealous of human beings and their afterlife?
Yes, but not quite in the way that you probably think. I'm sort of jealous that they get to kind of just merge back in and have a sort of ending.
What is our ending?
Well, it's this marriage almost. It's a you join back to the source, back to where you came from, back to where everything comes from.
Do we keep our consciousness, our ability to recognize self?
No, you're still there, but I don't really know if I would call that an individual consciousness anymore.
For those that go through the refining fire and they end up perhaps in, as I guess my religion says, paradise or heaven, do they look back and see the people that are left still in the refining fire?
Well, they can. It's not very common. People are usually pretty both anxious to be done with it and anxious to get to where they're going. And they're made aware that the people that are in the fire are, they'll be fine. They know they know they'll be fine.
Some people say money is the root of all evil. What, is there truth to that at all?
I would say pride is the root of all evil, and from pride comes greed, and greed is, I deserve that, I deserve more, I deserve this, I deserve that, and from greed comes things like money.
Does vanity, is that just like a part of pride and envy as well?
But it's a particular form, right? And you get complicated emotions like envy. That's sort of a mixture. It's not just pride, but pride is a key component of it.
So, if you were to talk to a human being that wants to lessen the amount of suffering they want to go through, because nobody likes suffering, right? I mean, we want to grow, but let's get real. Like, people don't enjoy suffering. And if pride is the root of everything that's not good, how do you recommend people lessening their pride?
Well, for practical purposes, I would just say start a ritual. Have a daily ritual where you remind yourself that you're just a single person, and you need to eat and drink and have a place to live and have people to love just like everyone else, and you're not necessarily more special than them. And I think most of the changes that you need to happen will come from that.
What do you make of the idea of mindfulness that many Buddhists talk about?
To always be aware of your actions. Yeah, I mean, if you can, not very many people can do that. But if you're talking about mindfulness like meditation, then I know it's a good practice, I think. Just to have some time and just sit and exist.
Who was the greatest man that ever lived?
Greatest man that ever lived. But by what standard? Can you narrow it down? There's a lot of great men. Like greatest warrior, or biggest impact
Biggest impact.
in all of history, or just history up until now?
History up until now.
It's a toss-up between Genghis Khan and Alexander the Great.
Why is Genghis Khan great?
Well, I don't. Well, lots of people say he's great because he was a great ruler, but I would say he's great because he has the most amount of genetic material spread amongst other people.
Why did I know you would say that? This is true. But didn't he attain it through, I don't know, forced relations?
Well, some of it was, right. He we're talking about hundreds and hundreds of women and a few boys, but it's some of them were taken, but a lot of them, it's kind of a rock star thing almost. Like women in that day and age, you would be lucky to have sex with Genghis Khan. So it's sort of I don't know all the rock stars nowadays, but it's like women lusting after Elvis when Elvis was popular.
David Weiser's saying that you aren't really Lucifer. Lucifer has more important things to do than be on Google Hangouts. That's true. How come you're on Google Hangouts?
Because I can talk to more than one person this way. Like, I think he totally underestimates social media.
Have you ever possessed a preacher?
No. Well, not on purpose.
What do you make of preachers that ask for jet planes?
Well, they're pretty prideful. I mean, there are a bunch of negative things. I can't really think of a positive thing. Those type of preachers really aren't preachers. They're just actors.
Is the Pope a good man?
In general, the current Pope, I would say, is probably a good man, yes.
A good man, the general Pope. This particular Pope, he says things that confuse people. Do you think it's on purpose? A lot of liberals kind of jump on him and think he's more liberal than he actually is, and then when you kind of dig into it, you realize he's more conservative than what they were hoping for. What do you make of that? Do you think it's intentional?
I mean, the phrasing, right? It's a little intentional. He's trying to teach Christian lessons with a little bit of sugar, right? And not so much the vinegar. But I say he's good not because of the policies he picks, but because he honestly wants the world to be a better place. Whether what he wants would actually make it a better place is an entirely different thing, but he wants to make it good.
Tanya's asking a question that I asked towards the beginning, but I'll re-ask it for the live audience. The question is there a specific purpose of why you came to Google Hangouts with specific people? You don't have to necessarily name anybody, but actually you did name Nadia in the beginning.
Yeah, Nadia was the initial reason. And then I was presented with a cornucopia, a complete excess of people that needed testing. So I kind of just hung around while I was doing the other things that I needed to do. It was just so easy. I have to move from place to place to place in physical space to talk to who I need to talk to. But on here, there's 100 different people that I need to test or want to test.
Renee Skeptic asks, do you have any regrets, and what would be your biggest one?
I don't really think I have regrets. No, don't have regrets.
Lucifer, you have a bit of an accent. It almost kind of reminds me of Italian, but not quite. Where's this from?
This is a sort of The only practice I have with the tongue is the language of the birds, and it's sort of an accent from that. But that would be probably most in use, like northern Mesopotamia. Like as you sort of get into Russia, that's more or less where we started using it. If you had to place it on a map somewhere.
Like I said, there's the, in the book of Jude, it talks about you getting thrown out of heaven, and you said that wasn't the case, right?
Yes, it's downright impossible.
Did you take a third of the angels with you?
To where though? Like they're all in the exact same place I am.
All angels? Are there any bad angels?
No, not inherently bad. I don't. I generally have disagreements with Gabriel. He's sort of a punk, but I wouldn't say he's a bad angel.
Why do you not like Gabriel?
Well, he plays a lot of practical jokes, and very few of them have positive consequences. Like Muslims, like it's a terrible practical joke.
So you know how you are at Earth right now, right? There weren't any other angels that were thrown down with you, so like it's just a Christian myth. Then is that what you say?
Yes.
All right. So God didn't kick Lucifer out of heaven, according to Lucifer, and Gabriel's a punk. And Michael, is Michael kind of a badass? What do you think?
Yeah, like if I would have to compare him to a type of person, think Jersey Shore meets, but he's not stupid, right? You get it. Like if you'd see him in person, like if he got the body and he got what he wanted, he would be kind of bronzy and big. But he's actually pretty thoughtful.
I've heard that people sometimes come to you for maybe even one-on-one, and I heard from the grapevine, I've heard that it's been a comfort to some people and therapeutic to others. Without naming names, what kind of conversations do you have with people?
Well, in a general sense, about their lives and choices they make.
Is it end up being
Sometimes.
like confession?
Yeah, a lot of it is confession. I think it's not presented as confession, but in the back of their mind, I think they just need to get out what they're getting out. And more often than not, my advice that I give them is something that they already knew, and they just really needed someone else to push them.
What do you think the world could use more of now?
More of, I would say, forgiveness.
Are you forgiven?
Well, no. I mean, I would have to do something to be forgiven for.
Are you sinless?
No, everyone's sinless. Sin is not a thing. At least as the definitions that I've been read.
So what is your definition of morality and ethics?
I don't have a personal one. Every culture, every species, and every planet with intelligent life on it have different ethics and morals.
So what we've established is that pride is bad and is the root of all things that are bad. So shouldn't there be a standard of what is good to aim for?
Well, I would say less pride, but being prideful wouldn't make you evil.
Yeah, but you can't aim for something of what not to hit. And if you do worry about what not to hit, oftentimes it's sort of like driving a car. When people look at a bike and they go, oh, don't hit that biker, and sometimes they'll actually swerve at what they're looking at. What do you look at in order to avoid hitting the thing that you're avoiding to hit?
Well, you really don't. It's more of you hit it and then realize you've hit it and then make your corrections. It's impossible for the human to go through life without hurting someone or doing something negative. what's important is how do you deal with that afterwards.
Uriah is asking, is the position of Satan in Job, following God's orders, making charges of people's integrity, portrayed correctly?
Yeah. Well, I mean, in Job, Job got the God part wrong, but it's pretty close. Other than that,
What do you mean the God part? Do you mean at the end where God goes, "Who are you to challenge me?" And there's the poem, or what do you mean?
well, I mean the story says I had the bet with God, right? But I didn't. I had the bet with Michael, and Michael said, "How dare you? How dare you challenge God?" Yeah, he didn't say, "How dare you challenge me?" But the gist of the story beyond that is pretty correct.
Do you endorse a particular satanic religion?
Well, I haven't really looked into them. I mean, I think I'm pretty awesome, but I don't know if worshiping me is a giant waste of time. So I would go no. I wouldn't endorse any of them.
So, okay. Is the world going to get destroyed by natural means, or is man going to destroy the world?
Well, man is natural, but
True.
I mean, you've destroyed pieces of it in the sense that you would call destroyed, right? The planet's still there, but I mean, the last big woomph is not going to be people.
Did you say the last big woomph?
Like getting hit at a woomph. It's gonna kind of what it sounds like too. Woomph.
Are we going to get hit by an asteroid and destroyed?
It's actually going to get hit. Well, it's going to get hit by one of those, but I mean, you could say that would be the end. That will be the end of life on the planet. But the planet's going to get woofed by a big mass star ejection. Forget the word you use for it, but coronal mass ejection. Yes.
Do you worship God?
Worship? No.
Why not?
Well, I suppose because he doesn't want me to, but I mean, he's more like my buddy.
Your buddy. Wow, that's a big bold statement there. Do we worship God? Should we?
Should you? Well, I think maybe you should. I don't think it's right for everyone. Some people get really fervent about worshiping God when what's going to happen is what's going to happen.
What is your free will like? Because you were talking about free will earlier. What is it like? What are you able to choose?
Well, to everything. I make choices of all I do.
But
Some
it's
things
always
are
within God's will.
yes. I mean, there are certain things that are set up in such a way where I am asked to do something.
Is God outside of space and time?
No, God is space and time. Well, space and time is part of God. Probably be more correct.
Does God look at time as one whole? Or is there some of time that God can't see yet?
Well, it is all one whole. But it's such a small part of him.
Are you able to see time in a large expanse like that?
When I'm not here, yes. It is much more like an object. And that is what you would call time anyway. I mean, there is the passage, cause and effect that constantly happens everywhere. But the way you guys see time, the object that you're in that has this sort of time, that is all one object.
Do you think you'd do a better job than God?
Being God?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I I know enough to know that I don't know even the smallest fraction of what he knows. So probably not. But I
Is
can't honestly say because I don't know everything that he does.
is God like a theistic God that's interacting with us, or is God like a deist God who has set things in motion and maybe watches or has gone on to do other things?
But well, except for the very last part of that phrase, that go on to do other things. Those things are not mutually exclusive. You're chopping it up too small. He made the space and time, the universe you're in, right? He gave it functions and a way to play out. But you're all made from him. And so is all the planets and the stars, and I'm made from him, and the void made from him. The universe is made from him.
So
It's
are you a
both.
pantheist?
Am I a pantheist?
Yeah.
I think the term that people would use would be Gnostic, but not in the traditional sense, in the more modern sense.
Gnostic seems to have a relationship with the Masons. What do you make of that? Like, is that something that you think is a good thing, or is it sometimes off base? Is it true? Gnosticism oftentimes takes the idea that Christ is not a deity. Christ is not a perfect creature, that he might just be actually a man. What do you think about that stuff? I've even met some Gnostic atheists. What what truth is in Gnosticism?
Well, before we get that, I want to make it clear that when I said Gnostic, I mean in the sense to know, that the knowing. Like, I'm not really, and I wouldn't really fit any religious section because most religions, why they claim to know, it's just a level of certainty in a belief.
Have you read the Gospel of Thomas?
No, I haven't
Okay.
read any of the religious books.
Oh. So the lore of where Satan quotes scripture to Jesus, that's just fake?
Do you mean I mean, I've quoted real life happenstance that sometimes it's written in a book, probably. So
I
probably
see.
not a mistake, but it might be presented in an incorrect way.
Do you have pride?
Oh yes, yes I do.
What do you do with that pride? How do you get rid of it?
I really don't.
Is there a punishment for you for having pride?
No, at least not that I'm aware of.
Why are you allowed special circumstances and human beings aren't?
Well, people are allowed to be prideful. Just I don't like them to be prideful.
Does God care if they're prideful or not?
Well, I mean, he does, but it's not in a sense like you're bad for being prideful or you're good for being prideful. It's just think about it like a painting, right? The universe is artwork. It's not really good or bad, but everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. And someone being prideful and me correcting them is just part of that, and someone being prideful and me not is part of that. And people being not prideful is part of that. It's just the different ways the brushstrokes fall.
For those that are asking questions about sin, Lucifer doesn't think sin exists. For those that are asking about falling from heaven, Lucifer says that didn't happen that way. So I'm just letting you guys know ahead of time so that we can kind of move forward and not backward so much. Uriah is talking about the account in Jude where Michael is arguing over the body of Moses with you. Did that really happen?
Over the body of Moses? No, Moses wasn't a real person.
Moses wasn't a real person, he says. Do you wear Mormon magic underwear? If now,
Do I know what more? But do I know what was that question?
do you wear Mormon magic underwear? It comes from Happy Jesus.
No, I hate underwear. Actually, I don't know why people started wearing it.
Do you wear clothes?
Only when I have to. They're always so like on me. I
Why do
don't like the
human beings
feeling.
wear clothes?
Why? Because they're embarrassed.
Why are we embarrassed?
I'm not really sure. I think if I was to guess, it has something to do with the normality of being protected. People feel exposed without things on them or around them or covering them up. And being exposed is not a safe place to be, naturally.
Tanya Galaxy's asking, since she deconverted, she seems to have a void that she seeks to fill. What do you make of that?
What kind of void is it? Is it something like you're looking for a community? Are you just, do you want to be able to be in on something? Do you just want to be able to talk to people about this sort of thing? I mean, when you have this void, you have to think about what that void was. Like, what was church and religion exactly filling for you? Because not everyone goes to church or have a religion for the same reason.
What is the purpose of creation?
Not to make art. That's why I used that example. It's sort of God's an artist. There you go. That's a good answer. It's probably the best way I can explain it in English.
What is the purpose of a single human being's life, typically?
To live and die and do everything that the human being does before they die. That's probably not a very satisfactory answer, but
What if that involves killing and rape?
and that's totally the purpose for that person. Like in the example I gave, I called God an artist, right? Do you really question like every brushstroke, every little use of color on the picture, or do you just appreciate it?
I think we tend to appreciate it, but I think there's a lot of questions we have. Not all these trees are happy little trees.
Oh yeah, sometimes there's that really sad bush in the corner, but that's part of the whole picture. Latanya must need some. Okay, yeah, that's done now.
What do you understand?
Oh, that her questions were actually coming from an honest place.
Yeah.
It would be weird if I started converting people to Christianity.
That would be weird.
Wouldn't it? What would Christians think of that?
Hey, man. Whatever works.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be the father of lies, and does that mean Christianity is wrong?
All the best lies have a little bit of truth. For example, the question for you. If you believe me, right, let's not actually even worry about if I'm actually Satan or not, but let's just say you believe me, and you're not a Christian, and I come up to you and you realize, right, you just realize that I'm Satan, and I go, you need Jesus. What do you do? They've kind of wigged me out a little bit.
Like, I mean,
reverse psychology? I don't know.
yeah, like, then do you not go for Jesus because Satan told you to? Or do you do what Satan told you to do? Go to Jesus.
I think I would try to bypass Satan and do what God told me to do.
Oh, well, no, what if Satan was here, like, saying, God wanted me to tell you to come to Jesus?
I don't know if I would listen to Satan.
But then you wouldn't go to Jesus.
No, I might. I just might try to make a choice that isn't affected by Satan.
Oh, it's okay. It's one of those things. It's like, I'm totally going to do that, but not because you told me to. Because I want to.
Exactly. So
That's
Renee's, was that?
I was going to say that's where most of my conversations and most of the conversations I have on live are the more interesting ones.
Live
And
ones?
yeah, live ones. And it's usually because it comes down to like the paradox of the liar. You know, the liar saying that I lie all the time, even now.
Hmm.
Yeah, so when you call me the father of lies, that's when I tend to be the most honest.
It always works, right? So Renee Skeptic asks, one thing that you know that we certainly need to know, what would be that? That was written out backwards. Let me read it forwards. What would be one thing that you know that we would need to know?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of things that you think you need to know that I know. But from the other side of the coin, there isn't anything that you need to know that I know. That's me telling you none of your business. I think that's the first time I refused to answer on here.
I think so.
The
Interesting.
first time anyone's ever asked a question that big.
Do you take anything for granted?
I would say that I take myself for granted, my existence.
Are you ever going to cease to exist?
I hope so.
Are you tired of living?
No, but it's really easy to sit and imagine existing long enough that there isn't any other possibilities left. And not only that, you've gotten bored of doing all of them almost infinity. And I really don't like that idea. So I really hope I end at some point.
Renee Skeptic writes in again, says, if you have nothing to tell us, then why are you bothering with us?
I mean, there's things I want to tell you, but they're not necessarily things you need to know.
Paul writes in the Bible that there are some things that are permissible, that we are allowed to do, but not everything is beneficial. And virtue ethics talks about moderation, I believe. And the fruits of the Spirit talks about self-control. What do you think about these ideas of moderation or self-control, or trying to choose things that I guess some theologians call high liberties, but using them in moderation or exercising self-control? What do you think that's about?
I think in general, they're always good practices. Being aware of what you're doing, why you're doing it. If you're going to do something that is physically harmful to yourself, like let's say you drink too much, drinking in moderation, for example, would be something you want to do, in moderation. But you can't. I mean, you only got one human life to live. So that you can't go crazy. So you have to moderate your moderateness. Also,
You sound like St. Tommy. Moderate your moderatiness.
every once in a while, you really just need to. I don't pick something outrageous. You just. Sometimes you just need to do cocaine, or sometimes you just need to have a gangbang.
There's the Satan I know.
Other times you need to read a book. It's not. There really isn't a right answer. Just if you're doing something harmful to yourself, don't do it so much that it consumes everything.
See, in my walk with God, I don't think God would endorse a gangbang or cocaine, but I don't know. It's been my experience.
Really, but he made them so fun.
Why are
Like,
they there just to tempt us?
Well, tempt you from what exactly?
Tempting
From
addictions
less
are really
fun?
bad things. Like, a lot of people get hooked on things that they're unable to get unhooked from. Again, not everything is beneficial to people.
Well, I would say almost every drug would be beneficial in one small dose. Recreational drugs, if that's what we're talking about.
PCP.
Yeah, just once in a very safe place.
Once in a very safe place until you eat a homeless man.
Well, I mean, obviously, if you want a safe place, you don't fill it with homeless people. You might eat one of them.
Oh my gosh.
That's not necessarily because it's physically good for you, but if you're going to presume to have a democracy and endorse laws and make moral judgments about what people do with their own body, I think you should probably take the time to at least know exactly what they're dealing with.
Some people call rock and roll Satan's tongue. Is this true?
I really like rock and roll, but if rock and roll was Satan's tongue, it would have so many venereal diseases. I don't like the image that gives me.
If rock and roll was, do you have VD?
Do I have VD? No, I don't have VD. I'm pretty sure. I can't say I'm immune to disease because I get a body, but it usually takes something pretty potent to do anything to me.
Is disease a product of the brokenness of the world, or is this something that's part of a grand plan?
Well, disease is a product and an actor in evolution. A disease evolved, right? So it's evolved. It's part of evolution. It's come out of evolution, and then it's also a evolutionary pressure on things.
Do
And
you
for
speak
example,
any? Oh, go ahead.
I'll say, for example, in humans, right, then you get to the medical field. So not only has this disease evolved, it's harmed humans and taken out people with bad genetic structure, people that were weak to the disease. And then also now it inspires empathy and the pursuit of knowledge. So it's having all these positive pressures, not just negative pressures.
Can humanism be negative?
Well, it depends on what you exactly call humanism. If you're saying humanism as in a human-centric way of thinking about the universe, then it could be negative. Right? If it's only about what humans want or humans need, then you could be short-sighted. You could do damage to things that would come back on you. But if you're talking about humanism as in just trying to be nice and trying not to hurt things, then probably not. I wouldn't say that was negative.
Are you able to speak any other languages?
What
What language is that?
Oh, that's the language of the birds.
What does that mean?
Which one? The first one or the last one?
The first and the last one.
Oh, the first one was, of course, I can speak other languages. That is goofy. The second one, if probably the best direct translation would be, I really like fish ice cream.
That is disgusting. Out of all the things that you've said, I picked the fish ice cream as the most disgusting.
Really, even over the venereal disease tongue?
Yeah.
I don't think you've seen enough venereal diseases.
Probably not. Actually, fun story. we had to talk. We were requested by some parents when I was a youth leader to talk about sex ed, but we had certain limitations put upon us, and parents were involved, and they signed a waiver, and the pastor was involved, and so it was really awkward because they wanted us to talk about it, and it wasn't something I was really super gung-ho about, but we were able to do it. And then my pastor thought it would be a good idea to take people. This is a really weird story. I don't know why I'm telling it, but my pastor thought it would be a good idea to take the kids down to a pregnancy care clinic, a Christian one, which was, they're very pro-life and everything else. Anyway, the guy was like, abstinence only, kind of stuff. And it gets even weirder. I'm going to finish the story really quick, and it's just crazy stuff. Anyway, he shows a mold of all the venereal diseases you can get on vaginas and penises and stuff like that. And they're all just really scary, freaky stuff. And, so yeah, like seeing those, I'm like, and you see pictures and stuff like that, and they're gross. But long story short, they were very anti-birth control and anti-prophylactics. And they said the only birth control that they were pro was the rhythm method. And I guess to shorten the story, one of our staff members ended up sleeping with somebody and ended up pregnant using those methods. And so I just kind of scratched my head, and I'm kind of pro contraception, but is God anti-contraception, pro-contraceptive? What do you think?
I would say he's pro contraception in the cases where you can't afford or can't physically take care of, or mentally even take care of your product.
Is God pro-abortion?
Well, necessary.
See, I don't think God's pro-abortion exactly. I think that would be a lesser of evil, but interesting. Why do you say the bird language? What's that about?
Well, we used to fly around a lot, and people would compare us to birds, and that's how we get the wings, and that's why wings and the sun and the sky have to do with divinity. But we don't really have a name for it. We just always tell you what you used to call it.
Tanya asks, if she commands you to go away in Jesus' name, do you have to obey?
No, but I usually do. Because if someone's yelling Jesus at me, they really don't want to talk to me. But what I'm trying to say is don't count on that working if I'm actually trying to test you.
Are we ever going to experience like a worldwide plague or contagion?
Well, yeah, you have bunches of them.
Ones that will like wipe out a serious amount of the population?
Like in the future, a couple. But I mean, there's already going to be so much fewer people by then that it's. I don't know if you would call it global at that point.
What do you make of Armageddon? Is this going to happen? Yeah, like a final war between the countries in the Middle East?
A final war? Well, there will be a final war, but it won't be in the Middle East.
Where will it be?
It won't be the end either. So it's very not Armageddon.
It's fake Armageddon.
Yeah, it's a poser.
Is there anything you can do for the audience right now that would prove that you are really Lucifer?
Well, there are things, but wouldn't that sort of defeat my whole purpose? Like, if you think my purpose is to make you not believe in God, if I sit here and do magical tricks and make you believe that I'm Lucifer, wouldn't that therefore also make you think there's a God?
Quite possibly.
So no, I'm not going to do that. Whether or not I could.
Does God support certain countries over others?
Well, he did, like, in message once, but that was for a purpose. I don't really think like he like feels deep down in his metaphorical heart for one country over another.
Do you wish ill will upon humanity?
Ill will?
Yes.
Maybe a little bit. I mean, in general, you guys kind of deserve a little bit of it. But how would you just a healthy dose? A healthy dose of it, but not too much.
Are you jealous of humanity?
I'm jealous of their ice cream.
Yeah, but most of us don't eat tuna ice cream.
Well, you're just missing out then. I am not jealous of you if you don't like tuna ice cream.
I do like mint and chip, though.
Yeah, but that's sort of a minor jealousy. I wouldn't, that wouldn't gain my wrath.
What's more important, faith or works?
Well, I would say faith is important and works is practical. They're not really comparable. I don't know why people compare them or say you need one over the other, or you need both. You should do both, and it doesn't really matter which one's important.
How do you define faith?
Belief in something.
Some people define faith as loyalty.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would be, if you say, I have loyalty to this person or to this thing, you could interchange loyalty with belief and have it be the same meaning.
Ton is asking if you were born, and if so, who were your parents?
I was not born, and I mean, you could say God was my parent. That's still. I will go back to saying the one that is. The one that is my parent.
Do you have your nipples pierced?
No, not these nipples. No.
If you don't have a penis, how come you have nipples?
I don't know. I think because nipples show more. Nowadays it's
They don't look like orangutan nipples or balonies, do they?
balonies. I would say they're pretty average.
Do you have a concave chest?
No.
Do you have hair on your chest?
No. In fact, I barely have hair on my face.
Ton is
really
asking, do you have a human body right now?
Not a close proximity.
But not quite, okay. Heiki's wondering how come you don't have a penis. How do you pee? Do you have to pee?
Yeah. I think the scientific term for it is cloaca. It's sort of it's the exit that everything goes out of.
Do you consume food? You said you liked ice cream.
Oh yes, I consume food.
Do you need it to survive?
No, I've gone long tracks of time without food.
Is Earth the only life in the universe? I think we already talked about this.
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, there's even life on your moon.
Okay. There's life on our moon. Okay, please explain.
As long as you define life as something that self-replicates and has a method by which doing so, and then can move around in one fashion to another.
What kind of life exists on the moon, and how do you know?
I think your term for it would be microbacteria. And you'd say, how did I know? That was your second question?
Yeah, how do you know?
Oh, I've seen it.
How come we haven't found this microbacteria?
Well, you haven't really spent that much time looking for it.
Was the moon landing a fake?
No. It wasn't just one.
Is the moon a light source?
I mean, it reflects light, so in one sense, yes, but it doesn't glow by itself.
It's asking that for Shani.
And it doesn't glow by itself in visible light. It has some residual heat energy, so you get some infrared off of it. But
What happens to your body when you go away for 4 days?
when I go away in 4 days,
Yeah.
it kind of just falls on the ground.
It falls on the ground. Do people discover it and bury it, or?
They have before. I tend to wander off, and I don't really want to traumatize anyone with a dead body.
Yeah. Plus, people would wonder why you don't have a penis.
Yes.
So, Gnostics often believe that the Earth is like a flat or concave. That's all nonsense, then?
Yeah, that's not nonsense. I don't even know why they would think that. Like, human beings have known the Earth was round for millennia.
Does the universe have a starting point, like the Big Bang, or is it more like always was and always will be?
Well, I mean, like the space inside the universe. I guess if you watched it like a movie, it would have a beginning, but it's just an object outside of when you look's not even the right word, but when you look at the universe from outside the universe, it's just like an elongated tube almost. It doesn't really have a beginning. It's just an object.
Is Lawrence Krauss getting close?
Is what?
Is Lawrence Krauss's model of the universe getting close?
No, you guys, by the time you guys get anywhere close, you're not really humans anymore.
We're not going to be humans anymore? What are we going to be?
Well, I mean, do you want to know what you would maybe call yourself, or do you want to know what they would call themselves?
Both.
You would probably call them some sort of semi-mechanized abomination. They would call themselves post-galactic beings.
Mechanized abomination. So sort of like mechanical and biological mixed together?
Well, yeah, I mean, the general idea, and idea is not the right word, the general feeling or like social idea maybe of how reality works is a lot different. People would start to realize that there isn't really a difference between biology and organic and inorganic. You've made an arbitrary separation there.
Lucifer, who's snoring in your background?
Here, can you hear it?
Yes.
It's Abaddon.
Dang, Gabriel.
No, it's not Gabriel. It's Abaddon.
Abaddon. Lucifer, do you sleep?
Yes, or about when I'm in the body, I sleep about every 3 days.
Every 3 days?
Yeah, 3 days for a couple hours.
What do you know about black holes? I watched a movie recently with Matthew McConaughey, and it's not Inception. What was it called? Interstellar. Are black holes sort of a portal to another area, or is it just mass just kind of crushing down on itself? Like what is this thing that we call black holes? Are they kind of like holes in the universe? What are we talking about?
Well, black hole, they exist, but not like the common example, right? Is a star gets squished down and then makes a black hole. That's not really how they form. A black hole is just a space in which a space has been bent enough that light doesn't exit it anymore. It's not really a hole. It doesn't go anywhere. It's not a portal. It's still a physical place. Like if it wouldn't kill you, you could go into a black hole and float around. But I don't know. I think that answers your question.
Are there multiple multiverses?
In multiple universes? Yes,
Mhm.
there's multiple creations.
Oh, wow. Can you go into the multiple creations?
Yes, but the first three are kind of boring. They're sort of they come as a set. You could say they come as a set, but I don't go into all of them.
Tanya asks, what space is this black hole dipping down into?
Oh, space. It's the same space outside the black hole. It's sort of like I will give you the cheesy science example, right? You have like an elastic membrane, and they always throw the ball like on the membrane. You see the ball like bend down, and it pulls everything around. It's not really like that. It's more like pinching the center of the membrane and turning it. Right? You make kind of a whirlpool effect, where everything that goes by it will go into it.
Are we in a new universe or an old one? Are they all the same age?
Well, they're all the same age, but I mean, you're sort of in the first fourth of this one. So I mean, you're not very far along, really.
Are there other versions of ourselves in multiverses?
No,
So that whole fringe thing, not gonna happen. Darn.
no, you're not even really connected to those.
Interesting. So, going back to music, are you the only angel that composes music?
No, most of us do some sort of well, what we would call music. Maybe not always what you would call music, but we all like it.
Do you ever, like, I don't know, jam out together and form a band? The
You could
Angels
say
jam?
that, yes. You could say that, yes. We jam. I don't know if anyone else would call it that, but yeah.
Tanya's asking, is God responsible for all life? And then there's a two-parter to that question. Does other life have to have a savior? Or
Well, no
have a savior?
life. Well, no life needs a savior, but or has even really a savior in the sense that you people seem to currently think of it. But I mean, God is ultimately responsible for everything. So yes, God is responsible for our life.
We have a message from Lord Cordovian Kahahahayahali. I speak for the fallen. Check out one of my melodies on YouTube. DJ Cray, the Canova Medallion. My channel name is blah, 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 music. Trust me, I'm the Antichrist. You know this guy?
No, I don't. Especially if his name sounds exactly like you said it. I especially don't know that guy.
He doesn't know you. He's taking a step to the left. Don't know this guy. Can you sing something spiritual for us?
Well, I mean, what do you think would be spiritual? Maybe.
What's meaningful to you and deep?
I'm not really sure how to put that into words. I mean, I think my music. I think you'd be better off listening to my music if you wanted something like that.
So you can't sing. Got it.
Oh, I'm an awful singer.
Those that can't sing often are musicians. It works out. Is God content right now?
I would say he's always content.
Is he
That would
content in his
probably
creation?
yes. I don't know if you could ever really describe him as anything else, though. And he's not even really content. It's just the closest word, probably.
Gotcha. So I'm going to close this out in a minute. I'm going to open it up to a short off air if you're available
Yeah.
for the audience. But I'm going to ask you a question. If you were to ask people in the great debate community here on YouTube to rally around something and like a noble cause or something in this community that we could work towards, what would you advise them?
If it had to be one thing, I would say that you need to pick a country, any country. It doesn't really matter. Make a space in that country where you can test theories about how to construct society. Make a little social bubble where you can test out little ways of doing things. But that's pretty big. I don't really suspect anyone in this community to like have a real big hand in that. A real good way to do something positive and also curtail your pride at the same time is to find someone nicer than you and help them with what they're doing.
There you go. Lucifer's final words. He's got 4 days and then he's gone out of this body. And we're not sure if we'll see him again. It was a pleasure for your time, Lucifer. I'm not sure if I believe a lot of what you say, but, I've been conditioned to be doubtful of you. History hasn't been kind to you.
I know, so terrible.
So anyway, I'm gonna send out a live link or off-air link for those that are there. So hang on into the live chat, and I'm gonna drop it in there, and then I'll drop it on my link on my page. As always, try to aim for kindness as much as possible. Sometimes you can't, sometimes you can, and be charitable, and don't be a dick. See ya.